Hey YouTube, yugioh coming at you with a top 5, or in this case top 7, because this is the hardest list I have ever compiled for this series. So the list is about the top 7 decks of the September 1st, 2013 format. Obviously this is speculation since the format actually hasn't hit yet, but I wanted to do one of these because it's really good just to speculate what I think will be good. So yeah. Pretty much there were a lot of choices, and I chose them based on my testing and hype I've been hearing, because there were too many decks to just say which one's better, and too many decks seem really good right now, and like, because everything's so good, like number 7 isn't actually, in my opinion, all that worse than number 1. Number 1 is hardly better than like number 7 because all these decks are so good right now. So that made this list really hard to do, and I'm just going to get into it before I get into 2 minutes of explanation. And yeah, so at number 7 I have Scraps. Scraps are really good because the format slowed down and Redox is still here at 3. So with Redox being at 3 and Scrap Dragon being really good this format, Scraps are a threat to everything. Just he's 28 and he pops things a turn, and in a slower format with not as many outs to him as there were before, he's going to present a problem for the format. Not really a problem since this format's so good looking right now, but Scraps I think can be a big threat. Number 6 I put Agents. This may seem kind of high on the list because Agents have been receiving like a lot of hype-ish because Earth went to 3, TG Striker's at 2. Agents are really good, but they're not as much of a threat, I think, as they used to be. Hyperion's very similar to Scrap Dragon in a way, but there are not enough Hyperions compared to Scrap Dragons. Scrap Dragon is a Hyperion that pluses when he pops and is infinite comeback. So I did put Scraps back on the list compared to Agents though, just because Scraps are kind of less consistent. Agents have 3 Earth, 3 Venus, and they can go into their plays and get set up real fast now. They have Herald of Orange, an extra hand trap we don't have. And just the use of their hand traps puts them a little bit higher than Scraps in my opinion. But yeah, they're really good. So yeah. They can present a threat with Christia, being Christia, saying no specials, which is a real big problem. At number 5, I put Mermails. Mermails are really good. They didn't really get hit much except for Dragoons and Diva, meaning they can still go into their really good like yugioh plays. Yugioh is a big problem in this format. There's less traps to deal with him, and he's going to negate a lot of the little things like Venus and Chimera, any Monarch. He's just a big problem right now, and he stops a lot of things. Also, their ability to make Dragosack and Big Eye is still there, and Mermails are just really good overall, I think. And at number 4 on this list, I put Frog Monarchs. Frog Monarchs are really good right now with the format slower than it ever has been. Frog Monarchs are good in a fast format as well as a slow format, but their ability is like exponentially increased in a slow format. There's a lot of big words that weren't necessary. But Frog Monarchs are really good. They have an out to anything in the meta. Like, they just need to get Treeborn Engrave, and then they have like infinite outs, infinite resources, infinite plays. I'm known as a Frog Monarch player, so I've been testing them more than a lot of other things, and they're just really good against the meta. They're good against every deck on this list, I think. So yeah, that's pretty much the top 4. Now these top 3 are really hard to place because so many were good. But at number 3 I put Infernities. With Transmodify newly released, Infernities are a lot more consistent. When I played the deck, the problem was opening as your only monster as Necromancer, which would be really bad, but now if you do that, you set everything, summon Necromancer, Transmodify, it's pretty much game. The deck's just really fast now, and there's not as much there's no heavy, there's no reborn, so you have a lot less things to just negate or bait barriers, and now everything's just really, it's harder to get past the deck, and it was already hard before, and with the format being slowed down, this is the fastest deck, or one of the fastest decks this format, at least. This is going to cause a lot of problems. Volvo Chain's still at 3, so you can still play 2 in Infernities and become a destroyer of worlds. And that's pretty much how Infernity works, is The problem with Infernis, though, I did put them high up on the list because they're much more consistent now, and I thought they were good back then, but the only problem with them and why they're not higher is the consistency issue they have. So yeah. At number 2, I put Dragoonity. This is a really sleeper deck, I think. Maybe I haven't been hearing much hype about it, but Dragoonities are played a lot at my locals. This deck is so fast, and it just goes like balls to the wall, wrecks your face, and doesn't really open bad. I know Sark went to 1, so that hurt the consistency a little, but Ravine now is just there. There's no heavy, and they can still go off with like Red Eye, Stardust, and just a bunch of other things. I put Dragoonity at number 2 because it just presents a threat when they go off, and since the format is slower, you don't have as much like push to get past their play. They can make Crimson Blader really fast. They have the most consistent Crimson Blader, which is another reason why they're up here. So yeah, and for number 1, just because it has the most hype in my opinion right now, and I've been testing the deck and it's really plussy, really good, Dragon Plants. If you don't know what this is, and it's actually more of a creative deck rather than archetype specific, it's pretty much the plant engine with mill, hand traps, and D12 big E-Dragons. This deck is really good because it has a lot of nice plays like Dragossack, Big Eye, along with Crimson Blader, Scrap Dragon, Stardust, and never-ending recurrence almost. Has its own Pot of Greed. It has a lot of nice things in it that make it really good and a threat for the format. It plays similar to the E-Dragons, but not really, just because, the only reason I say it plays similar is because it's so hard to get around these plays, because you always have to worry about what's in their graveyard and in their hand, making this deck really good, in my opinion, the best deck for this format in speculation. So, yeah, this was the top 7 video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me your opinions down in the comments, because I know there's a lot of decks and probably a lot of my choices you didn't agree with, just because this format's so diverse. Tell me also what you think of the format, maybe. Just leave down your opinions and everything you want to say in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up this video. This was yugioh 7 by YouTube.